I'm Debbie Fields. Have you ever noticed how heads turn and eyes light up when dessert arrives? Well, in fact, there's lots of us who think that the very best part of the meal is the last. From the gooeyest chocolate concoctions to the lightest fruit treats, this show will bring some of the best recipes I've collected from all around the world, as well as some of my personal family favorites. I've got wonderful tips for preparing and serving, and easy-to-follow recipes for desserts that look and always taste great. Whether you're a novice or an expert, there's something for everyone on the Dessert Show. And are you ready to create some jam and jelly desserts today? This dessert show is going to be full of jam tarts, currant jam brownies, and currant jelly brownies, and jammin' brandy plums. Here's the ingredients you're going to need. 1 cup of blackberry preserves, 2 sticks of butter, 1 cup of sugar, 1½ teaspoons of lemon rind, 2 eggs, 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 1/4 cups of almonds. Now, this recipe today calls for blackberries, all fruit, all natural preserves. Now, when you go into the supermarket to select your preserve, first of all, you can use any of your favorite preserve that you enjoy. One of the things that we've discovered, though, recently in the supermarkets is that they now have jams out in preserves that are all fruit, all natural, and without any additional sugar, and they are low in fat or no fat at all. And so we really recommend, whenever possible, that you look for preserves that are really do not carry any additional fat, because that's a plus. Also, these things taste great to serve over ice cream. I mean, they're wonderful. Now, the recipe also calls for a tart pan. And basically, if you don't have a tart pan, you can use a pie pan, or the tart pan is traditionally a pan where the bottom will lift off, so it will allow you to take your tart out easily. There's also a small version as well. Now, let's get ready to make our jam tart. And something interesting about jam and preserves, for that matter, did you know that the blackberry is the largest of the wild berries? And the darker the color of the blackberry, the riper and sweeter the berry. There are 2 types of blackberries, one that grows on brambles and the other one that grows on vines. Now, let's get started to make this wonderful jam tart. It's really, really easy to make. Okay, starting first with our softened butter, we're going to add our sugar and then our eggs. And what we're going to do is we're going to blend these 3 ingredients with the sugar, the eggs, and the butter, blending to a nice consistency, and then adding the lemon rind, and continuing to blend. Then go ahead and add your flour, and then your cloves, the cinnamon, and the almonds, and then ending with the salt. Now, this is going to be a real sticky dough, so you're prepared for it. Just continue to blend. The higher the speed of your mixer, then the easier it will be to incorporate. Now, what you're going to do is you want to make sure that you get this pastry crust thoroughly mixed. And because it's going to be sticky, you want to make sure just before you do this that take off all of your rings, because this will stick to your rings. And we're going to place it into our little tart pan, and as I said, it's going to be very sticky. So placing it down, and you want to use, as much as possible, use your spatula to take up as much of the pastry spreading as possible, as opposed to your hands. Otherwise, you'll spend more time washing your hands. We're just going to continue to do this until we get it spread evenly to all sides. Now, this is what's really neat is this particular recipe calls for almonds. Now, you can use any nut that you love. The key is the almonds give it a nice, wonderful, buttery, crunchy flavor, and it gives a nice texture, especially when you're using preserves, which are very fruity and, of course, generally very smooth. You want to have an interesting texture. I find that this particular tart has what I call a nice crunch and then, of course, topped off with a nice smooth preserve, it just really lends for a great flavor. It's also what I consider to be a very interesting, easy tart to create. Now you generally have so many different types of preserves in the refrigerator that it's a great way to just go in and open up the refrigerator door, see what you have. I mean, if you like orange marmalade, it'll work. But the key is for you to select what you like. Now, what you're going to do is you want to take it and you want to bring it up to the sides. Now notice that I have some flour here on the side. If it gets too sticky, you want to put your hands in the flour and work it. That way it's easier to bring the pastry up to the sides without it sticking to your hands. And just continue to dab your hands with flour and continue to spread to the sides. And continue doing that until you get it to a consistency that looks like this. And let me show you what it looks like. This is what it's going to look like when it's all set and done. And notice that additionally, one of the other things that I find that's beneficial is I like to put the pastry crust, when it's especially sticky like this, I like to put it in the refrigerator, let it firm up. It's much easier to use, and easier to spread instead of getting it all over your hands. And once you've got it to the point where it's nice and chilled, it really is. It makes it much easier to spread to the sides. Now, what we're going to do is we are now going to then spread your favorite preserve on top. And in this particular case, we have the blackberries. Just go ahead, place that in the very center, and spread it to all of the corners. And then from that point, we're going to take the remaining amount of the preserves. And you're going to find that this is pretty remarkable. But you basically want to just, because it will not spread, you just want to take little dollops and place them on top. What will happen is once you put it in the oven, the top will miraculously melt, and it will all naturally come together. I know that sounds odd, but it will work. You just simply place, as I said, these dollops around, and it will form a nice little pastry shell on top of the preserves. And it will work, believe me. You'll say, now Debbie, this doesn't make sense, and it will work. So just continue to do that, spreading out. And as I said, because it will not spread, you want to just place the dollops. Now, we're going to place it in an oven. We're going to bake it in an oven temperature of approximately 325 degrees. Now, the bake time runs about 50 minutes. Now, what you want to be looking at is noticing that the top becomes golden brown, because it's going to be very soft when you're looking at it. So you want it to get it to a nice golden brown color. Now, when it's done, let me show you what it looks like. This is, I told you it was going to go together. Now, isn't that impressive? It looks great, it tastes great, it's really, really good. And what I want you to do is come right back, because I've got something else that's really great.